Hello, everybody. My name is Brandon, and I'm here to introduce a podcast that Chris is not going to say the name of.
Welcome to the Movies Comic United podcast, the MCU
I think it was Ultimate
podcast.
last week.
Oh, Movies Comics Ultimate.
Is the U going to be different every week?
Yeah, next week it's Movies Comics Orangutan, which isn't the word.
Orangutan.
Orangutan.
Yes, we are here for the second update, episode, whatever. I'm used to saying updates. That's my problem. It's only been a few days since the last one came out, but we just watched the new Shield, so I guess this is our barometer for putting out making new episodes. Shield just happened.
Well, it's a good thing. The Shield episode's fresh in the mind, and there's only one more episode left at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of good. I mean, we're in a little bit of a dry spot now where Captain America stuff's done, Guardians of the Galaxy's a while away, Comic-Con's a while away. So Shield's kind of like our hold on to right now.
We do have some stuff that is kind of planned for in between, but we're going to get to that eventually.
Yes.
But for now, we have a few things to talk about. We have a few corrections to make, which I caught while editing.
Okay.
First of all, the small one, it was Kevin Pereira, not Ferreira, as we said.
Yeah, I remembered. I think I said it like right after the show. I was like, "Fuck, it's Pereira."
Yeah, we did say that afterwards, and we were like, "God, fucking damn it!" So there you go. And it wasn't X-Play, as I said. It was Attack of the Show, which is my bad. And the thing is, I didn't have to look it up. As soon as I heard myself say X-Play in the recording, I'm like, "You fucking idiot! It's Attack of the Show." Go me. The other one is that we incorrectly said what the Infinity Stones were. The Aether is the Power Stone, and we were both wrong about what the Tesseract was.
It's the space, isn't it?
Correct.
Okay, yeah, I just rewatched Avengers today.
Yes.
And they specifically note it's a key to space. So I was like, oh, it's probably the space gem.
It's the Space Stone.
It's the space jam.
Because they don't call
Oh, it's not gems? Okay.
It's stones. They actually, I think they mentioned that at the end of Thor, The Dark World, where they specifically call them the Infinity Stones.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yes. Because they're not technically gems, they are just objects, so stones is better than gems, I guess.
That is true. Because I guess even in this universe, they're very obtuse. None of them have looked like stones yet, or gems, rather. So
it also allows them to free up whatever they could actually be.
Yeah. Because, I mean, because I did listen to the James Gunn podcast.
Which was awesome, wasn't it?
It's very good if you get the chance. I'm probably not going to listen to anything else of Kevin Pereira's show, but I did enjoy that episode and kind of get a little bit of a look into Guardians of the Galaxy, which I'm super excited about now. And obviously...
About how insane James Gunn is.
He's trying to play very coy when the question comes up, but it's pretty clear that the object in the movie, the sphere, is most likely an Infinity Stone as well.
Which would make sense because we got a few to get to at this point.
Yeah, we got at least 3 more, possibly 4, depending on your stance on the Loki staff.
The Loki staff, whether or not Adam Warlock has one, which he does in the comics, he usually is in possession of one. So there could easily be a few that are just already in the universe that we haven't identified.
Yeah.
Loki's staff could very easily be the Mind Gem or Stone. Even I'm doing it now.
Yeah, it's tough.
I know. It's been gems for so long, but
oh, was it gems and they changed to stones?
Yes, they're gems in the comics.
Oh, okay. I was wondering. I was like, I thought I heard them referred to as gems. But
that's why you'll hear people call them gems, is because they are called the Infinity Gems in the comics proper, but in the MCU they are called stones. So there's that. So anything else that you want to bring up that's happened between this week and last week? Did you possibly read anything I recommended?
I did not. I just pulled it up though on Comixology. If you're looking for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 Legacy, you can buy it for $11. I am really tight on money at the moment.
That's fine, dude.
But as soon as I get that kind of cleared up, I do want to pick this up. I'll probably pick it up before Guardians of the Galaxy comes out. I want to actually follow up on your recommendation. So maybe I'll try to. I get paid this Friday. Maybe I'll pick it up then. And there's not a tremendous amount of big Marvel news in the past week. A couple more Guardians of the Galaxy pictures came out, but nothing too crazy. Just Chris Pratt in the mask.
Yeah, which I was going to mention is because ever since the trailer, have you noticed that every single Star-Lord picture is him with the mask?
I imagine they're kind of trying to get that out to kind of make it look a little bit cooler right now.
Well, it's because the biggest complaint that people had in the teaser was that he wasn't wearing the mask, the
Mhm.
signature Star-Lord mask. And like, no, 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 no. He wears the mask. We just didn't show it.
Yeah, and they're trying to make him affable. I think that they really don't want to alienate the audience as much as possible right now because this is going to be a little bit of a hard movie to sell. So I wouldn't be surprised. They're like, look, let's just get Chris Pratt's face out there first, and then we'll show him
It
with the
is
mask.
confusing trailer-wise to have shots of him masked, unmasked.
Yeah, because then people are like, what, is he a robot?
Yeah.
And you're like,
So
well,
so then they have to toss in the scene in the trailer with him putting on the mask. So you're like, oh, what
I
was
am
up?
super excited about this
Oh
movie though.
God, yes.
I'm really getting eager for it, and I started to think about it on what I would do to gauge how successful this movie is. And I came to a figure. I think if this movie can pull in about 350 million worldwide, I think it'll be considered a success.
Mm-hmm.
And if it pulls in about 400 million or like 425 in that kind of area, it'd be great.
Oh yeah.
Because that'd be more than any of the first movies outside of like the Iron Man movies were able to make. I think that's more. It's obviously more than Hulk made since Hulk barely made a dime.
Hulk is the
Thor,
lowest produced member of the
yeah.
series.
Thor, I think made around like upper 300 million,
Yeah.
and then I think Captain America was low 300 million. So if it can make above those, then I think it's going to be solid.
I'm gonna imagine that's probably gonna do a little better just because one, Chris Pratt's in right now. He's
Mhm.
very in right now. I can imagine Marvel was just clapping with glee when the Lego movie made as much money as it did. Because they're like,
Oh yeah,
oh my God, our leads from that movie score.
yeah. I imagine they're excited about that. That's the number I'm hoping for because to kind of stress a little bit more, Captain America's numbers are they're basically just about done at this point. But Captain America, as of this point, has made $680 million worldwide.
The
It's a
third
little bit,
highest grossing MCU film.
yeah, it's just a little bit below 700 million at this point, and it's not impossible for it to reach it. It probably won't, but it's not impossible for it to get there. And just remember, this is Captain America. This is a guy who most people before this all happened only knew that crappy Roger Corman movie that came out from him. And the first one barely, we just mentioned only did like 300 million, which is a lot of money, but not compared to like the Iron Man stuff. This movie comes out 700 million worldwide. It's more than doubled what it made the first time through. Marvel's got to be pretty fucking ecstatic about that.
Yeah, they are very, very happy with the fact that Cap has made as much money as it has because it means that they don't have to rely on Iron Man.
Yeah, I mean that's the big thing. They've proven that they can take, especially if they make a good movie. They've proven that they can take a franchise and make it. They recreate Iron Man. I just said now it didn't hit the numbers of Iron Man per se because
Right.
we all know Iron Man 3 made $1 billion, but it's it's very good. It's not close, but very high in the spectrum of their movie. They said third of theirs, so they have to be excited about that. That they're able to basically say, "Hey, we took this character, didn't do so great the first outing, but the Avengers bump plus making a solid movie, we made a fuck ton of money off that, and we're gonna take it."
Yeah,
And now,
and the fact that it actually did better than another movie that came out this week,
yes, it did. It opened higher than what Amazing Spider-Man 2 opened at.
which is surprising.
It is. Now, Box Office Mojo is what I use for all of my numbers. And Box
Yes.
Office Mojo was, I don't know if it was an agenda piece or what, because anyone who reports on this kind of puts their own slant on it. Theirs was franchise fatigue weighs down Amazing Spider Man 2. Other people are like, Spider Man 2 opens with solid May opening. Basically, it made 92 million, which was a little bit below Captain America. I think it was like 95 million was what Winter Soldier opened at.
Correct.
4 million is, not the biggest difference. Amazing Spider-Man 2 didn't bomb or anything like that. It's just not as high as they're expecting.
What they mean by fatigue, and I read Box Office Mojo. That's usually where I get a lot of my stats from.
Mhm.
They're referring to the fact that it opened around the same or a little lower than the first Amazing Spider-Man, which is something a big summer franchise is not supposed to do.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely it's been opening at the lowest of I think any of their
Correct.
Spider-Man franchises, the lowest rated of all of them. Um, Amazing Spider-Man 2, it'll probably still make an absurd amount of money. It's already at like 375 million
I
worldwide.
have a very strong feeling that based on word of mouth and the reviews, it's gonna not do that well this weekend.
It probably won't do great. I don't see this movie breaking like 550 million. I think it's probably going to taper off relatively quickly, especially because it's going to have competition coming up very soon. Godzilla comes out in 2 weeks. Week after that is X-Men. So if it doesn't make a huge amount this week, it's probably not going to make a tremendous amount more here in America. And it's worldwide. It's kind of tapering off already. It's been out most of the world for about
And
two
that and
weeks.
that's what happens when you don't have a great movie. It's that
Yeah.
tapers off quickly. Like that's why Cap stayed around for as long as it has. Is that
Oh yeah.
it's a
I,
good
I
movie and
was
word of mouth.
I was in line to go see Amazing Spider-Man 2, and the two guys behind me were like, two for Captain America. I was like, God damn you
I
guys.
want to go to that.
I did want to go to see that again. Not that Amazing Spider-Man 2 was awful. It was okay.
My favorite description of Amazing Spider-Man 2 is aggressively mediocre.
It has good points, and then it has bad points.
So aggressively mediocre.
Everything related to Harry Osborn's awful.
Oh
But,
man, who would have guessed?
well, they have so much to do with him. Basically, they do his entire character arc throughout any, like 17 movies in one movie. So,
Lovely.
yeah.
Hey, we're
Uh,
introducing this character. Now he's gonna start hating Peter. Now he's evil.
Yeah, we're gonna introduce him. He's friends with Peter. He's no longer friends with Peter. Now he's gonna go crazy. It's just like, Lord, how many things is this guy gonna do?
Next up, he's curing polio again.
Yeah, he's like, oh, now I'm having my redemption arc in the same movie. Like, what the fuck?
Pacing.
So yeah, Amazing Spider-Man 2. And you know what my main thought was after seeing Spider-Man 2 is I was just like, I really wish that this guy was still in Marvel Cinematic Universe hands because I saw how much kids love this guy as a hero, and just watching the movie, you can see like, wow, this is a hero who really appeals to kids because he's a lot more kind of down to earth, but still kind of cool.
Yeah.
He focuses on kind of smaller areas. It's not like Tony Stark who immediately gets into like war politics and things like that.
Or,
Spider-Man
Cap-
goes around.
or Captain America, who's all about liberty and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, this is the guy who swings around, beats up bullies for kids if he sees them along the way. I mean, there's some really great moments. I'm just like, God, if this guy was in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and they could put him in an Avengers movie, they'd make so much more money, like even more than they did before.
The only problem is that even Marvel's not great at writing Spider-Man things. I'm pointing at the comics when I'm mentioning that.
Yeah, well, and we're not going to see it in the Marvel Cinematic Universe because is it
Avi Arad.
Ari Avid? He was asked, "Hey, would you put Spider-Man in a new Avengers movie?" And before he was historical, like, "No, I wouldn't do it."
He's like, eat a dick.
He's turned his expression. We're moving in a better direction because now his response is yes, if the entire story plot revolves around Spider-Man. Like everything, it's Spider-Man and the Avengers would basically be what he wants at this point.
Now, point of record, that's the guy who had the job before Kevin Feige did.
Yes.
And then Kevin Feige took over that job. Thank God, because Avi Arad is kind of dumb.
I've heard a lot of people say things to that regard. It's a recent story came out regarding the Amazing Spider-Man movies. We know that they're setting up to do at least 2 more of them.
They're planning to do
along
the
with
Sinister
Spin-
Sticks.
Yeah, and a Venom movie. So they have spin-offs planned, but they have at least 2 more Amazing Spider-Man. And Andrew Garfield hasn't committed to doing Amazing Spider-Man 4. And when they asked about it, he was like, "Oh yeah, you know what I'd be really interested about is passing the mantle off from Peter Parker into Miles Morales, the new Amazing or Ultimate Spider-Man, I think
Yes.
he is." Uh, really cool idea, especially because there's not a whole lot of ethnic superheroes at this point, especially main characters. So that'd be certainly interesting. It's already been shut down by was it Ari?
Avi Arad.
Avi. I keep mixing the A and the R up, the A and the V, R and the V. What letters? Who already said
That's
we're not
stupid.
going to be. Yeah, we're not going to be doing that. It wouldn't be true to the character. Blah blah blah. If we're doing Spider-Man, it's always going to be Peter Parker, which is kind of a disappointment. He even specifically mentions at the end, changing who Spider-Man is what almost doomed Marvel to begin with. Which I was like, I don't really know that story too much, but okay. So that's the case we're in. Spider-Man. If you were interested in seeing someone beyond Peter Parker, you're shit out of luck. We may be getting into the situation that everyone feared, where an actor will retire and instead of recasting them, they'll just reboot the franchise over and over and over. So
Peter Parker, your face is different. No, it's not. It's always been this way.
I would prefer that
Yeah.
greatly.
Kind of like how they handled it in Iron Man 2, right?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I hated Don Cheadle, but
I don't mind Don Cheadle.
I just doesn't have the charisma for me that Terrence Howard had in the role. I just buy Terrence Howard as like a more like down to earth kind of sociable thing. Don Cheadle, I think he's fine in other stuff. It's just in Iron Man, he just he feels
I
flat.
liked him in the third one.
I guess he's barely in it for me.
Mm.
But no, I mean, there's not too much other news going about. There was a couple interviews because Aaron Tyler Johnson and Elizabeth Olsen are in the new Godzilla movie, which is doing press right now. So
Yeah, it's just hilarious that they're. It's like I knew Avengers stuff was gonna be popping up because of them, and it's just funny how they're in that and then they're in Avengers. I always thought that was kind of interesting casting.
Yeah, and we've started to get interviews of people trying to pick something out of them,
which is what they always do, which is kind of hilarious.
It's funny because you have to realize at this point, like, Marvel has to, when they sign these guys on, there must be like a dude with a gun behind their head who's just like, look, we love you guys. We're going to have so much fun filming this movie. But I swear to God, if you spoil anything, we are going to kill your parents. Because
every interview that we do, there's a sniper watching you from behind the balcony. Just so you guys know that.
Anytime one of these guys gets in an interview, you can immediately just hear it. The moment something comes up that would be kind of giving something away, they're just like, we can't talk about that. There's a couple things we got, nothing big. Both characters will be using accents in the movie, and it seems as though both have signed on to do more than one movie.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff that probably shouldn't be too much of a surprise to people, but both of them talked about their experience working on the movie thus far, and they both seem to be highly positive of it. I mean, you don't honestly hear a lot of people who talk negatively about it, but both of them seem to be very passionate about this stuff, so I'm really excited to see both these guys in action. And see how they go. Because these are the two characters I think I'm most excited about seeing in Avengers 2.
Yeah.
I really want to see them take a different spin on the hero. I don't think there's too much other news to really talk about right now.
Yeah, I mean, there really isn't. I mean, we all knew this was going to be happening, that there wasn't going to be too much news happening. So this is going to be a bit about, us having some opinions. And you know what? DC didn't fuck up this week.
Yeah, well, DC, shocker of shockers, had no news to really announce this week, so they didn't fuck up at all. Yeah. Everything's great.
Good job, DC. You didn't fuck up this week.
To be fair, we did, I think, drop about 3 months worth of news last week in one segment.
Oh my God, that was hilarious. I was just going through that, just laughing hysterically at DC. And I, once again, because people who don't know, my Monday nights is I have a board game night. But at the end of the night, I usually talk with my very good friend, who I see all my movies with, and it usually devolves into things. Last week I talked about our conversation about The Punisher dropping into Daredevil.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually ended up talking about Man of Steel again, and I'm like, it's like me and the fucking Transformers movies. I just can't let them go.
You can't quit them.
No. So, so DC not goofed this week, so good on you guys. And you started watching something this week, haven't you?
I did, because a couple points came up on Twitter about the new episode, and you mentioned I need to force Chris to watch Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes. And I had heard tangentially of the show, but I didn't know anything about it. I just renewed my Netflix subscription solely to watch Avengers, by the way. I was just like, I haven't seen it since it was in theaters. I want to watch it again. Really good, by the way. I imagine eventually we're going to get to movie reviews of the Marvel Cinematic movies thus far. But I figured I had it. I saw Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes on there, so I was like, all right, I'll give this a try. And I've made it, I think, like 6 or 7. Nah, it's got to be more than that. Probably
like 9 or so.
Yeah, I think 9 or 10 episodes in at this point, and it's decent. It's got some slow points to it,
but it's building characters is really what it's doing right now. Still,
it is. The animation's not great in it. Like the thing to compare this to would be the Bruce Timm, Batman animated series, Justice League style of animation. That animation was a lot better in my eyes. This one's a little bit kind of low quality, but the characterization, as you said, is in there. Captain America is a fucking badass, which I'm obviously very appreciative of.
Oh, yeah, he's great in the series.
I don't think they made him look like a goober yet, which I'm very happy about, because everyone else has been made to look like a goober at least once. Iron Man particularly. Don't go into this if you're a huge Iron Man fan, because it's a little bit tough to watch him. He does the stupidest stuff sometimes.
Yeah, they kind of take the whole they like out Robert Downey out Robert Downey Jr. in this. He goes a little too far, but he evens out, and that's kind of the big thing that the series ends up doing is the fact that even though the first series is only a total of 26 episodes, they do eventually start evening out. And
Yeah.
it mainly has to do with the fact that, tons of world threats.
Now the series is done, correct? They canceled
They
it.
canceled it, and there's a replacement series which is called Avengers Assemble.
Is it any?
I have
Is
not
that
watched Avengers Assemble because I refuse to watch the second season of EMH, which we'll get into at some point.
okay?
But
Is it like the same animation style or?
kind of. I caught a little bit of it. And I'm like, oh, it looks a little similar, but it looks like they maybe have a little bit bigger of a budget. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
Hmm.
But I really liked EMH when I was watching it because I watched it around the time that the first season was finishing. Was when I first started watching it, mainly because I had heard that it was kind of rad. And I was like, oh, an Avengers show, that's really good. That's cool. So I started watching it, I dug it, and I was telling people that you could tell a lot of the MCU bones in the show. Then again, this is a 3-year-old series before a lot of the big things from the MCU happened, and they even do some of the stuff that MCU eventually did.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Winter Soldier pops up in the series.
Yeah. Well, I haven't gotten there yet, but I figured they were going to do that since they specifically showed the Bucky getting caught to a missile thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured that was probably going to pop up. It's got. I don't read the comics right now. I'm kind of eventually going to catch up on that.
Yeah.
So there's some stuff here that I'm like I tangentially know this stuff. I know that these things exist in the comics. So
Like
I
the
can kind of
fact that
see where
there's
they
a
can get
fuck
that.
ton of named Hydra dudes.
Yeah. There's a lot of characters I'd never heard of though, like Grim Reaper. I'd never heard
Who's
of these
actually a
guys.
really awesome kind of guy, isn't he?
He seems kind of cool in the series.
Like he gives
Um,
no fucks and just does things.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's tough to gauge because some of the heroes are kind of goobers, Ant-Man. But it's pretty cool. No, seriously, Ant-Man sucks in this. I don't know why he's there.
We
He's there to get big, then get knocked over.
when we were before we had actually started doing the recording, I had talked to Crystal about EMH, and I said, and he had mentioned about Ant-Man. I go, "Welcome to the comic, Ant-Man. This is kind of how he is. He's just a big goof who's just kind of like, I'm become big now," and the villains are like, "K," like punches him in the face. That's kind of how he goes. He has his moments where he does decent things, but he's a scientist first, hero second.
Mm. Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, we'll see what happens with it. I'm looking forward to it. I just got to the Black Panther episode where he joins.
And Black Panther's cool.
Black Panther's very cool. Seeing him in this, maybe we're like, oh, I really want to see a Black Panther movie. I hope
Now you
that's in
see
phase
why
3.
last week when I said Black Panther, like I really want to see Black Panther because like this is good Black Panther.
Yeah, he looks cool in this. He definitely would add a different vibe to it. I think they could do a lot with Wakanda, especially the fact that Wakanda is supposed to be more technologically advanced than even like Tony Stark stuff.
Yep, which is a nice little twist.
So I'm very interested to see what happens if they do try to push a Black Panther movie out. I think they could do very cool stuff with that.
Mm-hmm. A few things that EMH also does really well is the fact that they brought in actual comic writers to write the show. You may have seen a name pop up a few times in the credits if you were looking at them, like Christopher Yost popped up a few times.
I did know Christopher Yost's name popped up a couple times. Where is he from?
Well, he wrote the second Thor movie.
Oh.
He also wrote a line of Spider-Man comics, which were really good. He is a longtime Marvel guy, and he actually was the one who created Earth's Mightiest Heroes as a show, and he was very pissed when things went down, and it almost looks like they're okay, our bad. Here's a Thor movie.
Hey, I mean, he did a decent job with Thor. I really enjoyed Thor: The Dark World. I know some people are a little bit low on it, but I really enjoyed it.
Well, Christopher Yost is a good writer,
And I
like
think the reason his name got so attached to me is because I kept thinking of David Yost, who was the Blue Power Ranger when I grew up.
okay.
So, just a little trivia fact for you there that relates to my own mind and how it works.
Right now, I'm actually going through other things that he has written. Oh, he also wrote the Batman TV series for a few episodes.
The one specifically called The Batman, though, right?
Yes.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you meant Batman the Animated Series. Yeah, there were way too many Batman series for me to keep track of which one's
Yeah, I
which.
know what you mean.
The Batman, Batman Brave and the Bold. I think there's another one I'm missing in
Oh
there
yeah, he
somewhere
was
too.
the head writer for Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Okay.
Okay.
He also did specifically write the Breakout two-parter.
Breakouts, I think, where the series gets better. If you're watching on Netflix, the first, I think, 5 or 6 episodes are just straight. Here's a character, let's introduce them. Here's a character, let's introduce them. And they basically go with the main characters you're going to get to this series. One for Thor, one for Cap, one for Black Widow, Hawkeye, one for Wasp and Ant-Man. So it's a little bit slow at the start, but then you get to Breakout, which is essentially where the first major awesome-ass fight happens.
With
And
Graviton.
yeah, and you get a lot of really cool kind of like hints that there's going to be a big event in this world, and it's the actual assembling of the Avengers. And I kind of like how the first set of Avengers mirror, the actual first group of the Avengers as well.
And I
But
think that was kind of also on purpose, that they kind of chose the group to be very similar to the movie version, just with replacing Hawkeye and Black Widow with Pym and Wasp.
yeah,
But other than that, it's pretty much them. Also, don't you love how much Thor's a dork?
Thor is a dork, but I don't know why Thor's endeared himself more and more to me, which is weird because before the Marvel Cinematic Universe stuff happened, I never gave a fuck about Thor.
It's because you can just tell he's like lovable at it. He's just like, I'm here to help.
That and Chris Hemsworth is a goddamn dreamboat.
Mm-hmm. I concur.
I would love to just fall asleep being rocked in those arms.
So about EMH.
My girlfriend's not listening to this, is she?
Probably. No. That's probably it though.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really dig the show. I recommend it for people who are watching. It does take a bit to get going, and as something I revealed to Chris was, those first bunch of episodes weren't actual episodes until later on in the series. It was mainly because they were webisodes that they put out to hype up Disney XD, the series.
Mm-hmm.
But looking at the release for them, it went the two breakouts, then Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, Cap, then Ant-Man, then the episode Some Assembly Required. Then they went back to everything. But they did breakout, then they went back and reshowed those episodes.
I like that strategy. I think it worked out for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, decent series. As I see more of it, I could definitely come back and then let you know how it's going.
Yes, and where you stopped, because you stopped at the episode which is titled Panther's Quest, is when they start digging into arcs.
Okay.
And they're going to start introducing, big villains, and that's the thing that the show does really well. And that also mirrors the MCU in the fact that they kind of set the seeds for big villains. And they kind of let them kind of like simmer in the background, like how they introduce the Enchantress, and she starts gathering people.
Yeah.
And it starts building and building and building, and I like how they end up doing that it comes to a head, and then they do that again. So they're able to do a little bit of the week storyline, and then able to just seed what's going to end up being a huge like 4-parter. And I love
I'm interested. I'm excited for this. Marvel hasn't had like good animated versions of its shows since like the 90s, so
and even some of those aren't that great.
Yeah, I never watched Spider-Man as a kid. That's why some of the Spider-Man universe stuff still is kind of weird to me. I don't know who Black Cat is. I just know a lot of girls like to cosplay as her.
Felicia is the.
I know her name. I don't know anything about her.
Just
I don't know
rich,
if she's a
rich
good
lady.
Is she a hero? Is she a villain?
Both.
Is she? All right, so she's like Marvel's Catwoman essentially. Okay.
But was a rich girl who's like, I have daddy issues, so now I'm Black Cat.
I'm gonna bang Spider-Man.
Yeah, pretty much. But wearing a costume that has like a giant boob window. Because boob windows.
Yeah, well, you're a female character in a comic book universe. You couldn't wear something practical.
Like I had to laugh when because after Chris mentioned today that he had watched this, I wanted to have some of the episodes fresh in my head. I did laugh when Whiplash went from her being in her prison costume, and she puts on her costume which had a boob window, and I went, of course.
Yeah, I saw Whiplash. I was like, what a horribly impractical outfit to change into.
The prison outfit made more sense.
I know. I would have just stayed in that.
But I guess she's more comfortable with her boobs half exposed.
I don't. It doesn't work if I don't look like a dominatrix.
Well, yeah, well, the whip's part of her costume.
Yeah.
Makes
So
sense. But that's it for EMH. We'll check back with that a few times, and then we'll probably eventually get into the season that I have not watched yet because I didn't like what they did to the series.
okay.
But we'll eventually get to that. Anything else I wanted to mention? Because I had something in mind, then I completely forgot it, so we're not doing it then.
Okay. Fair
Word.
enough. Deal.
We'll probably also eventually start watching the movies that they've produced, the ranging from bad to the one that's good. No, the one that's really good, and the few that are good, and then the
Wait.
rest.
What's this?
Hmm?
Oh, the Marvel animated movies. You mean?
They've only done one really good one.
Okay. Okay, I wasn't sure what you meant. I thought you meant like the Marvel Cinematic movies. I was like, there's only one that's good? Uh-oh, we're about to get into a fight.
Yeah, well, if I heard somebody else say that, I'd agree because there's only the lowest movie is probably for me still the Incredible Hulk, and we'll get into that because I know you just watched that actually.
I liked Incredible Hulk. I
But
do.
my biggest problem with that movie is that it's too safe of a movie. It's too
I would disagree with that, but
no,
that's
it
we're gonna
is.
have to wait. We're gonna have to wait until we get into it because I would disagree with that feeling.
But moving on from that,
And I would punch you in the cock for disagreeing with me.
just just constant dick punching.
Yeah. Get like a giant novelty-sized boxing glove and just ram it into your cock over and over again.
That's just your thing though.
Yeah, I mean that's how I get off.
Yes.
I don't know about you.
So, we're gonna kind of make things a little shorter this week because we're already digging into Shield, mainly because we don't have a half an hour rant about DC this week.
Yet. Just wait. Any moment now, news is gonna come out.
Zack Snyder decides to sacrifice children on the set.
Michael Cera cast his dark side.
Michael Cera cast as a Darkseid.
You're just like, ooh, well, it's gonna be a little bit tough to see how this happens.
No, 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 no. Jack Black as Darkseid.
I could see how that would work. Yeah. Oh, come on, Superman!
I'm just
I'm gonna get
imagining.
down dirty apocalypse style on you!
I'm just imagining that hilarious image of Darkseid sitting on the couch, and that being Jack Black.
Welcome home, Miss Marvel!
Pretty much. So, Shield this week.
Shield this week was very good.
A lot
I
better than last week.
What's that?
A lot better than last week.
Yeah, I had some serious Lost flashbacks with this, where in terms of how they kind of structured their story here.
Yeah, but
Uh,
I would say it was in at least a decently okay way.
well, I love Lost, so that was a
Oh,
compliment.
I couldn't watch that show after season 3.
Well, fuck you and your presumptuous
Okay,
dickheadness.
okay. Quick Lost aside, you have to agree, season 3 is when it started going to hell.
Start of season 3 is terrible. Like the first 6 or 7 episodes, fucking horrendous. The
I
end of season 3 though is incredible.
I keep hearing that about some shows, but my God,
It's
that
like
start of season 3, I remember watching it live with,
it's horrible.
and I'm
'Cause
like,
that
I'm done. I'm fucking done.
it
And
was the point where they had no end in sight yet. It was as soon as the second half of the season started, which was after the first 6 episodes, they had a concrete date, so they knew they were only going to be doing 3 more seasons. So they started to wrap stuff up. But no one's going to argue that Jack's tattoo is not the worst episode of the series. However,
oh my God.
the end of the series has probably the best 2-part season finale of the whole series. It has The Man from Tallahassee, which was a great episode. It has Greatest Hits, which is a great episode. It really is a strong season once you get to the end of the season.
It's kind of like I actually tried to go back a few times. I just couldn't. It's still not as bad as when I was trying to watch Battlestar Galactica, and I'd watch an episode every year trying to get into the show.
That's pretty rough.
Yeah, still, even further off topic, there's still nothing worse than a show because I could almost feel something like this happening mid Shield if they aren't planning it well enough, where they killed off a main character, Battlestar Galactica, then brought her back, and the writers really said, we just brought her back and would figure out a reason later.
That's always a great sign.
And you're like, really?
No, the reason I made the comparison to Lost this week is because we got a flashback in this, and it was a flashback about Ward to show where he came from and how his relationship with Garrett got started and how he basically became the man he was. It was a really interesting take on things because we find out that Ward kind of had a very, very tough upbringing with him, basically abandoning him and saying survive out on your own, and what he had to do to survive. And anytime he showed weakness, he would get attacked on. And we've grown to come to this idea that Ward still cares about his team members, but we're not sure about it. And it had a really great twist in it, in that he's about to leave the forest in the flashback, and he's like, "Oh, you gotta go take care of the dog too." It's not a weakness, is it? So you see him go out there, and he does. He sees the dog, and he fires the gun to the air to get the dog to run away. And at the same time, there's a parallel to it in the current timeline where he's just Fitz and Simmons have been captured, and they're trapped in a room, and he's like operating with one of the control switches over there. And then we cut back to the flashback, and because before we saw they let the dogs get away, so you're like, oh, he's gonna do the same for Fitz and Simmons. And it cuts back, and you see, oh wait, no, he actually did shoot the dog after that. And we cut back to the present, and he fucking fires Fitz and Simmons right out of the plane into the ocean, trapped in the
Because
box.
there is nothing to make an audience member hate a character by having them kill a dog.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great moment because that's the kind of stuff like I loved in Lost, where they'd have this flashback, and it wasn't until you got the very end of the flashback that you really started identifying what that meant to the character.
The key to the whole flashback was at the very end, and you don't get that information until it's actually either having a direct parallel or something that is actually attached to what's happening.
Yeah, because you sit there the entire time like, oh, he's not going to eat Ward, even though he's doing bad things at heart. He still cares for the things that are loyal to him, and then you see like, oh no, he killed the shit out of that dog. Like, holy shit, Fitz and Simmons are fucked. I love that kind of twist, though, and that's the kind of writing that I really am glad this series has now.
I'm also glad that they put him in a position to where he could kill them, but he pretty much left them for dead.
Yeah, I mean, they're screwed right now. I don't know how they possibly get out of this because they're trapped in a box in the ocean that's easily either going to flood or run out of air relatively quickly.
They're in an oven.
Yeah, they are screwed at the moment.
And I like the fact that, he didn't kill them, but there was nothing he could really do.
Mm-hmm.
And he pretty much, under normal circumstances, plot armor aside, they're dead.
Yeah, I mean, we still don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I didn't figure they'd ever change anything with Ward, so it's always possible something could happen with the two of them right now. As it is now, I don't think anyone of the team knows where they are.
Yep.
So,
although somehow the preview spoiled the fact that they get out of that room. Thanks, previews.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah, I know. I know. I was just, it was that sarcastic, like, well, I didn't have to watch them, but, I kind of wanted to.
But no, I enjoyed the episode. I like the characterization here we're getting with Ward. We got a little bit of backstory too as to Garrett and his relation to Deathclaw. Some very cool stuff there.
There was an Easter egg I missed too.
Yeah, I probably don't know the Easter egg.
Well, no, I couldn't tell what it was because it moved too fast. It was when Coulson was going through the files. They show one very specifically, and he goes, "Oh, what?" And he looks up. So I'm imagining what he was reading was an Easter egg. I couldn't see what it was, though.
I was working out during the episode, so I missed it, unfortunately.
Oh, brag about it.
Yeah, just fucking, just get the arms pumping.
Just gotta put the guns away.
Gotta holster these bad boys or else I hurt somebody.
And I do have to say that it is a decent sign because I was actually watching this with my dad, who's not watched the show at all until the last 2 weeks and has not even seen Captain America 2 or Captain America 1. Or Thor 2. In fact,
he watched Avengers. That's
it. Actually, he's watched, I believe, the first Iron Man, the second Iron Man, Hulk, and the Avengers, and that's it. As I took him to see Incredible Hulk in the theater. Chris?
Yeah.
Oh, that was the end of that story.
Oh, okay. So he liked Incredible Hulk.
He thought it was okay.
Okay.
He also liked the original Hulk movie, so there's that. And moving on. So, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. also had some great stuff. More Howling Commando mentions, which is always awesome.
There was a lot of that. A lot of Howling Commando stuff. I'm going to take a shot in the dark and assume that his grandfather was the black member of the Howling Commandos.
Oh, you're going to go with that one.
Yeah. I could go out on the limb and be like, it's Dum Dum Dugan. He's Dum Dum Dugan's kid. But,
that would actually be kind of awesome, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'm going to go with he's probably the black guys.
Because the black guy was the spy.
Yeah. I don't remember, did the black guy even have like his... I guess the Howling characters are real though, right?
They are.
Yeah. So like, did they all have their own individual like shit, or was it just like a couple of them and the other ones are like, we're the multicultural brigade?
No, he was black in the comics, I believe.
No, I mean like, did he have a character
Oh,
though?
yeah.
Though? Okay.
They
Cool.
had their own line of comics. They were, because don't forget, Captain America in the comics did not get frozen for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
That was like a retcon kind of a thing, because Captain America was made because of World War II.
Yeah.
And the
So he
Howling,
basically existed for that while, and they retconned it that he got frozen eventually, but there was someone else who had taken over the mantle and kept doing it for all the time that would have been Captain America running.
I honestly can't remember. I'm actually going to have to do some reading up on that because that's Golden Era comics, and I didn't read that.
And you weren't all over fucking Golden Era comics?
Golden Age, sorry, in Silver Age comics. No, I wasn't all over that. I also in the '90s, like a lot of people probably, wasn't all up on Captain America. I was all about the Spider-Mans and the
Sure.
X-Men's.
Should have been all about Captain America.
Well, if I known what I know now, what I knew then, other way around. Yes, probably.
Yeah, fair enough.
But
Jerk.
also don't forget the '90s was the time that the Spider-Man cartoons and the X-Men cartoons were on the air, and I love that shit. And that's how I caught in comics.
Yeah, well, look, I don't blame you, man. That's how I would have gotten into it if like comics were a thing around me back when I was a kid.
Do you know how I got them?
How'd you get them?
Well, my mom used to go on, used to, still does, goes on business trips, and she would bring me back comics.
Oh, that's sweet.
She'd be like, here's some new comics to read. And she also gave me one of my most disturbing comics I've ever read, too.
She's like, here you go, son.
It was a Batman comic, too, about a guy who decapitates people.
Oh, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Did your mom know that was what it was? She's like, I'm gonna scare the shit out of this little fuck.
I'm gonna fuck up his
I'm gonna
head.
fucking give him nightmares. I'm gonna close my door when he comes banging out the door.
No. It's like, I'm gonna give him this comic to go to the trip. Baller.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave him alone with somebody.
No, I had no idea. She would just grab things and go, here you go. So I had a few Batman comics back then. That was also back when Batman was kind of awesome. That was back around Nightfall time, which Batman Nightfall was awesome. Reference for people who don't know, Batman Nightfall was when Bane broke his back.
Yes.
So
classic.
The great that's Batman's are crazy too because of that. But on to Shield, all in all, it was a good episode. There were some decent stuff happening there. I could definitely tell that they were really setting up their finale.
Yes, you could kind of see that. Though there is one thing that was worth mentioning as well. Is Rana has a conversation with Ward regarding Skye and her origins.
There's two conversations that she had that were interesting.
Yes. The one she has with Ward, she talks about where Skye comes from and how there are some files in there. And I can't remember if she refers to it specifically as a legend or what she says exactly, but about a girl who went missing. A bunch of monsters were there that killed everybody, and Ward questions like, "What happened to the girl's parents?" And Rana responds with, "Although the monsters were the girl's parents." So you get into because there's been these growing theories of Skye is Miss Marvel, because she got implanted with the Kree blood. Everyone's like, "Oh, she's just going to become Miss Marvel." I don't think that's what they're going for, especially if they're going to do a movie about her. They probably don't want her origins all being tied to a show that doesn't broadcast outside the country, but they could be doing something new. I actually been wondering about this, the notion that Marvel might create its own original heroes through the television show or through their Marvel Cinematic Universe, and this maybe.
I had that thought when you had a character who then became Deathlock, when he wasn't Deathlock. I was thinking that's why it might be what they're going. Words are difficult. What they were planning on doing with him, but then they didn't do that with Mike Peterson. He became Deathlock, and the moment that he became Deathlock is when I went, no, they're not going to make their own characters. They're gonna do some establishing stuff. So there's plenty of people that they can make out of this.
Who would you say then?
I can't think of any.
Ghost
My
Rider.
first gut reaction was when she said the story was, "Oh my God, please don't make her Miss Marvel." I actually said that out loud while watching the show.
Is it because you don't like her? Or
Kind of a both. I don't want Miss Marvel to be done that way. I don't want this to be Miss Marvel's origin story,
Mhm.
and it has nothing against Sky as a character. I think it was just, I don't know. It was just like, I just don't want that to be the way Miss Marvel's done. Is probably the
No,
best way.
I can completely understand. And I know when someone first mentioned that theory to me, I was like, "Oh, that sounds so cool," especially because I like Sky in the series. But as I sit back and think, I was like, they really should do better for Miss Marvel, especially because Miss Marvel's origin is that she's originally like an Air Force pilot, and
Correct.
I'd rather that, especially with like the military influence into the character rather than like, oh, she was a hacker, fucking spy for
It would also
activists,
have that
terrorists,
super
sort of thing.
awkward shit of her trying to like, oh, how does I powers?
Plus, there's also like, oh yeah, remember that scene where you had sex like 3 times on the show?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I would be interested. I want to see what they're gonna do with it. Now, part of me is like, all right, don't buy too much into the term monster because I feel like any of these shows, these long-running syndication television shows, they playfully use words that are meant to kind of throw us off the track.
And they're
And I feel
also
like
one of those
monster
things
doesn't.
that they can just throw in there and they can then make it mean whatever they want later.
Yeah, monsters is a very ambiguous term. I mean, when you think monster, like, oh wow, they're gonna introduce the supernatural side of the Marvel universe or
It's
something
gonna
like that.
turn out that she's actually She-Hulk.
Yeah, or something like that. And you're like, well, what it might just end up being is her parents were, Hydra agents. They were monsters because they killed people or something like that. It doesn't have to mean anything as big as that. But it is going to be very interesting because they've placed this mystery around her character, and the previews for next week didn't seem to act like they were closing that up.
Yeah, we'll find out. I have a feeling that it'll probably be the last thing that they show is going to be revealing what she is.
I don't think so because I think the way that this is ending, because Marvel specifically at this point has not announced a season 2 of this series.
It's probably because this end of the season is going to set up their season two.
Yeah, and that's why I think they haven't announced anything yet, is because season 2 is not going to be called Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. anymore because it wouldn't make sense. They're probably going to change the name of the show, and they're waiting until the end of the series to do that. And that's how I think this season's going to end, with Nick Fury being like, all right, you guys can't be Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. anymore, but you will be my Secret Avengers, or
That's
whatever the
exactly how I
name
was
is.
thinking it was going to end, is Nick Fury calling them the Secret Avengers.
That's how I figure it's going to end. So that's what I think they'll do here, and they'll save all the stuff with Sky until the next season as
Well,
well.
I just have a feeling that what they're going to do is that that's going to be one of the big reveals, or because you see in the preview Coulson being fucking ragdolled, um, that Sky is like, either she's gonna like, my latent superpowers, and like punches him in the face, or War's
It'd be,
Redemption, or whatever.
it'd be very interesting to see how they do it. Especially because I imagine Bill Paxton's dead after this
Oh,
episode.
pfft. Unless they do, I do kind of like the idea of him surviving and then dying in the first episode of the next season.
Just as a big fuck you to everybody. Like, he's gonna live! No, he's dead.
No, he's dead. Also, I do have to give the MCU a little bit of credit. They're not entirely in love with murdering villains.
No, it's it's been one of the complaints I had, especially early on in the series of the MCU, is that basically if you were a villain, you died at the end of it, and there was never a chance of you coming back, which was always frustrating because you saw these cool characters and then they just die, and you're like, well, that I mean, I understand the actors may not always be attached to it, but you want to see them last so that they can
And
be
then
in
you
all
just recently
movies.
saw The Incredible Hulk and realized that they've actually not been doing that the whole time.
Yeah, because I didn't see Incredible Hulk. I didn't see Incredible Hulk until just recently. So I know that Blonsky's still alive as Abomination. They've referenced him in Shield before,
Mm-hmm.
so he's one that's still out there. Obviously, Loki's still out there, and Winter Soldier. And
Yep.
outside of that, everyone else is pretty much dead.
Red Skull.
Red Skull, yeah, that's correct. Red Skull's technically still alive. How they'll handle him, we don't know yet, but he is still there. I want to see them kind of keep that trend up of keeping some of them alive, especially if they can get one who's successful and popular. Because one of the problems that the DC universe or the Marvel universe has is that its villains just aren't incredibly
Unless they're
memorable, right?
called Loki.
Yeah, unless it's Loki, who for some reason, against all odds, has become the most successful thing, outside of Iron Man. Uh,
Probably kind of catching up to Iron Man in terms of being successful as a character.
yeah, uh, they just don't have that many notable villains that people are like, oh yeah, that guy I totally remember. And they don't have a Joker essentially. They don't have that one guy who just is synonymous with the universe.
Well, I think they're trying to change that, and I still feel, to me, when it comes to Avengers or the MCU now as a whole, they're doing one of my favorites. They're doing Ultron,
Mhm.
who is my favorite fucking villain.
With James Spader too, so obviously they're going into this with a lot of
Because
a
Ultron's a
lot.
big deal.
Yeah.
Um, I cannot wait for you to watch the Ultron episodes of EMH, because I'll be honest, I wasn't a big Ultron fan. Then I saw the episodes, and then I went, Ultron's the greatest.
Mhm.
Um, there's also one of the animated movies actually has to do with Ultron. It's called Next Avengers, and it has to do with Ultron wins and kills all of them, and it has to do with their children taking up the mantle after
I don't
he.
think they'll do that, but
No, they're not going to kill everyone. The only ones who made it out alive were Thor, Tony Stark, and Hawkeye.
oh wow.
Everyone else died. Oh
Even
yeah,
Captain America?
oh yeah, the Hulk did too, but he's the Hulk. It's
Yeah.
really hard to kill the Hulk, but he went into hiding.
Mhm.
But they killed everybody else.
Even Captain America?
Mm-hmm. Even Captain America. And
That's
Thor went to go lead Asgard, so he was gone.
he was like, "I look, good luck with this, guys.
Peace out, peace out, bitches.
I'm out. This thing's really tough. Good luck, Iron Man. Bye."
Have fun with that. But yeah, it's Ultron's a great villain. There's a few high tier villains, and there's one I would love for them to do. And when Marvel releases their plans for their next phase, it might tell me if one of these villains is going to pop up, because a really good one's called Kang the Conqueror. He's an awesome villain because he's not really a villain. He wants to conquer the Earth to save it.
Intriguing.
It's because he says that in the future, Earth will become a battleground between two alien races. Earth will not survive this battle, so he wants to conquer it to make sure that we are ready for it.
Okay. It's an interesting
But
kind
he
of
kind
look
of
at
wants to
things.
enslave everybody to do it.
All right. Well, that's not as endearing as I first thought.
Well, it's the whole idea of we don't have that much time, so freedom's gone.
Hmm.
And that's what kind of makes him an awesome character, as you can imagine.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they got potential there. Yeah, he's an Avengers villain, though, right?
Yes.
So if we're sticking to the notion that Thanos is going to be Avengers 3,
He could
would that
easily be
just say,
four. He
yeah.
could easily be four. Um, I need to kind of look at all the other EMH stuff because they do all the big Avenger villains in that. But Kang's a biggie. Kang's awesome.
Hmm.
But they could also do they they could, but they wouldn't do Secret Invasion.
Well, I don't know if they can because I don't think they have the rights to the scrolls.
Nope.
I'm pretty sure that's all tied with fucking Fantastic Four, which did just start shooting. I know some people are holding on to the idea like, oh, they only have until like fall, and then it goes right back to Marvel. They started filming, so they've fulfilled the contractual obligation to keep the Fantastic Four rights over at Fox.
Yay.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
Well, that movie looks awful anyways.
Well, yes,
You
yeah, it
know,
does.
you know, I I always ridicule this line that I'm about to say, but I have to say it. I really don't like the changes that they make for the sake of changes in Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a weird place we're in right now, where unfortunately almost every hero is a white male,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's unfortunate. And I hope we do get some, characters of different nationalities and different origins to kind of help add some diversity to it. But I don't think it necessarily makes it better to just immediately take a white character and put a black character in that
Now,
spot because I
see,
don't.
I don't necessarily have too much a problem with that because that line always begins with, not to sound racist,
Oh yeah, I mean you're
but
always going to walk a dangerous
it is
line
a
with that.
dangerous thing, and I don't really have a problem with them doing that if they do it right. The way they would have done that right is making Sue Storm also.
Yeah, it's
That's how you do it right.
I guess they're, I don't know, they might do adoptive kid or something like that, or maybe one
If
parent's
it's
black, one
like if
parent's
you're
white.
gonna go the whole distance. Don't halfway do it. And they halfway did it.
I don't know, all of them black. Black Fantastic Four, the Blacktastic Four. Boom.
Oh, that would I'd watch that movie.
It's just like, oh, here come Mr. Fantastic.
You know what? My horrible like brain just went to they go into space white and they come back black. So they became the Blacktastic Four.
We got exposed to some cosmic black radiation.
That'd be the greatest blaxploitation movie ever.
And Doctor Doom came in black but got exposed and now is white. So
Yes.
that's like black armor. But everyone knows that deep down he's white. And
Yup.
thus me.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bad guy.
Now, wouldn't that be a great movie?
I'd immediately buy it.
I'd buy 10. That just sounds like a
Oh
fantastic
god,
movie.
and like somehow we get Idris Elba to play Doctor Doom.
Yes.
Or you put him in white face.
No. The guy goes in white, comes out black, and it's Idris Alba, and he's the Thing.
But like he refuses to do makeup for it, so they just tape some rocks to his face, and he's just like, I'm the motherfucking Thing.
Well, he is big enough to just be the Thing.
Yeah, I mean you wouldn't have to do too much to make me buy him as an intimidating figure.
No, just have him talk.
I like this. We need to pitch this idea to Fox.
This is the greatest movie ever.
We're like, Fox, have you? I don't know if you've considered the idea of a Blacktastic Four. I don't want to be the one to bring it up, but 12 Years a Slave did just win Best Picture.
Just bringing it up.
Black movies are in.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, you know what? I think you got a good idea brewing here.
Wait, we do. That'd be the exact reaction. Wait, really?
Yeah, wait, whoa. Can I get money off this?
No, we already own the rights. Damn it.
I knew I screwed this up.
Uh-huh.
Well, poo.
Well, as always, we recommend you watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Definitely. Is there anything else you want to recommend?
I am actually going to look up to see if my recommendation's available to be purchased.
Okay.
Because I actually have one in mind, and it has a little bit to do with some jokes that we were just making.
Oh. Is this a Shaft comic?
No, it actually is a Fantastic Four comic.
Ah, okay. That'd be interesting. I've never really been a big Fantastic Four guy. So I'd be interested to see if you have something that could pull me into that.
I don't know if I can exactly pull you into it.
Like, I'm going to try, but,
Well, whenever I recommend these comics, these are the comics that I've read that I've enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the widest knowledge of comics because, I read a lot of books, I read a lot of comics, I play a lot of games, watch a lot of movies, and I watch a lot of TV shows. So I do a little bit of each. Mm-hmm. So, my comic knowledge isn't as wide as it could be. And also, when it comes to post-2000 comics, but I read the Ultimate Fantastic Four books, and I was shocked at how good they were. They were actually better than most of the other Ultimate line. Like, they were better than Ultimate Spider-Man, X-Men. Well, Ultimate X-Men was fairly crap. But Ultimate Fantastic Four, called The Fantastic, is actually on Amazon right now. I'm looking at the trade, which I'm surprised that a 7-year-old trade is still available. That's ridiculous. It's on Amazon right now. I just looked on Amazon Ultimate Fantastic Four, so the very first thing. It is $10.62 for the paperback, which apparently only has 3 in stock, so get on that. And the Kindle is $9.49.
What was it called? The Fantastics?
No, The Fantastic. No S.
Fantastic. Okay, let me see if I can pop it up on Comixology as well, in case that's your
Cup of tea.
Your medium of choice. What's the cover look like?
It's got the Fantastic Four on it.
What? I mean, all of them do.
Well, at the very bottom it says The Fantastic on the image.
Okay, let me see here. I'm not seeing anything that says The Fantastic. That's kind of hard to read.
That's what it looks like, so you can take a look at that link.
Okay.
Doesn't have the greatest of art, but...
Okay, yeah. Well, they do have this then. They do have that on Comixology as well, in case you want to check that out. They have it on their Ultimate Fantastic Four. It looks like you can get some of the individual. You can get the first book, The Fantastic, for $10.99.
There you go.
So there you go. If you're interested in that, go check it out.
I actually have the trade sitting in front of me. I'm actually looking at it. I think I have all the trades for Ultimate Fantastic Four. I think it was only 4 trades long.
It looks here like there was 6 or 7.
I think because they went back to it later, or I got all the ones that were available, then I didn't realize they made more.
Collected issues 33 through 38.
Because most of them came back after Ultimatum. Because I did stop reading after Ultimatum, as I have mentioned.
Yeah, that might make sense then.
But,
yeah, all right.
And for a little bit of comic reference, one very big line of comics came out of Ultimate Fantastic Four.
What's that?
Marvel Zombies. Yep. The first book came out of Ultimate Fantastic Four.
Huh.
Yeah, events in Ultimate Fantastic Four is what caused the Marvel Zombies universe. Don't hold it against the book.
Okay, I was like, you were winning me for a little bit.
Okay. I'll say this: Marvel Zombies gets a lot of shit because it is pretty shitty. But the first book was actually pretty good.
All right.
Second, the third, fourth, the Ash tie-in, no. Why the fuck did they do an Army of Darkness tie-in?
Why not? The
fact that Ash caused the zombie apocalypse?
I don't know. I'm not a zombie guy, so to me it's just sort of like ugh.
White noise.
Yeah, I'm just like, yeah, a lot of zombies and stuff, right?
But yeah, so oh, that's why. Okay. Well, one of the writers was Mark Miller.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but Warren Ellis was apparently the writer after Mark Miller, so that's why the book got very good. Warren Ellis is a really good comic writer. So that's going to be it for this week. I'm sorry we kind of ended up rambling there at the end a little bit for you guys out there, but I hope you guys understand that.
People enjoy rambling.
Well, that's kind of what we do.
Yeah.
We don't have an agenda. We just have ideas.
Yeah. We have strong beliefs.
Strong's a little too strong, though.
Okay. We have mediocre. We have
tepid beliefs.
We have milksop beliefs here.
Give or take.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe. I'm not going to commit to it.
Well, that's going to do it for us this week. If you want to get a hold of us on Twitter, Chris, what's your Twitter?
My Twitter is @RolloT, ROLLOT.
Yours is pretty easy. Mine is not. I am at.
Mine is like, if you take off a letter from this, and it's kind of like the equation for cosine.
Do I actually need to explain where mine came from?
Yeah, I think you do.
Okay. Mine's from a Maxwell House can.
Maxwell House. So you're a big coffee drinker?
No. When I was growing up, I had a Maxwell House can that I put all my pens and pencils in. And when my sister was born, I put a sticker on it that covered the M. So it said Axwell House. And one day, when I was, coming up with names and I couldn't think of anything, I looked at my desk and I saw the can and said, oh, Axwell House.
I was really hoping the story was going to be when you were a kid, you had a little coffee container that you put all your hopes and dreams in.
That was the perfect time for that to happen.
Fucking cat always coming in ruining my podcasts.
Your hopes and dreams. Meow, that was stupid.
You're bad. You're a bad person.
You're bad and you should feel bad. So my Twitter is @Axnollous, AXNOLLOUSE. And you can tell us what you thought of this, any ideas, things you'd like us to talk about. Please, not too many of those. I said that so they do.
Oh, my cat really wants us to end this podcast, man.
So
he's getting furious.
So I guess we better stop. See you guys next time.
Bye.
That's fucking hilarious.
I fucking hate this cat.